Good morning. Today is Monday, October 24th, and you're listening to WCRX-LP, Columbus, Ohio, 102.1 FM, the broadcast radio service of Bexley Public Radio Foundation. You may visit us on our website at www.wcrxlp.com. My name is Julia Bland, and your inspiration for today is: whatever someone did to you in the past has no power over the present. Only you give it the power. And this quote is from none other than Oprah Winfrey. Today is again our Toastmasters Community Table Talk. And now to my co-host, T. Wayne Gatewood.
Good morning, Julia. How are you today?
Great, and how are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, it's kind of hard to believe we're on week 2 already.
We are.
Here we go.
Great.
We're on week 2. We've got a great program scheduled for you today. Here we've got some very interesting guests. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. What I want to start out with is just kind of talk about the goal of the program as we collaborate here with our radio station. First of all, one of the goals for WCRX is to educate up-and-coming disc jockeys, give people a chance to want to be in the area of broadcasting. This is a training ground for them, which is very exciting, very similar to Toastmasters. And in the area for Toastmasters, one of the things that we pride ourselves in is be able to develop speakers and leaders. We feel like we've got one of the best kept secrets out there, but now we're going to get that out to the public. That's one of our goals here. Toastmasters started back in 1924. A gentleman by the name of Ralph Smedley, he started the program at the YMCA out west and out in Santa Ana, California. Right now, Toastmasters has over 270,000 members, and they've got over 13,000 clubs. This is an international program. One of the quotes that Mr. Smedley used that I really like, he says, "We learn best in moments of enjoyment." And that's one of the things that I've gotten when I've been in Toastmaster meetings. You get in there and there's a lot of good feedback, but it's given in the right light. I like to put it another way. I believe the real trick to learning is not really realizing that you're learning and making mistakes. I think that makes people very comfortable. You know, it was Warren Buffett. He was being interviewed along with Bill Gates at Columbia University, their MBA program. They were presenting, and he was asked a question. They asked Mr. Buffett, "What one thing would you suggest to an up-and-coming person that would make them successful?" And Mr. Buffett said he believes that communication, strategic communication, he felt like that can increase your value 50%. Yes, folks, Mr. Buffett said 50%. We've created a segment here called Table Talk Tips, and every week we're going to share this with you. We got things that we know that will help you, that you can walk away with. Each time you hear our program, we'll give you something to walk away with that you can use immediately. What I want to talk about today I want to share with you is the elevator pitch or speech. I'm sure many of you have probably heard people talking about that now, especially with all the unemployment that we have. Toastmasters is being asked to come out and do a lot of trainings with different people to help them get ready for their job, to get the skills they need for their interviews. And we found it's been very successful. And I want to share this with you on the elevator speech. And I just like to say it's a very essential tool for marketing yourself. They say about 1 to 2 minutes long is a good elevator speech, but that's the full-blown speech. What you really want to focus on is the first 30 seconds. So one of the things, there's 3 things I'm going to share with you here today, and then we'll we'll let you read up on the other stuff yourself. First of all, you want to describe yourself as a solution to a problem when you start in on your elevator speech. And basically an elevator speech is, you're in the elevator with somebody that maybe you've been wanting to talk to forever about a different job opportunity or a contract you're trying to land, and there you are. You step into the elevator, and you've got 30 seconds before we get to the next floor, and you've got a chance to talk to them about anything that you want. And hopefully you're going to be talking to them about your opportunity. But starting out, again, there's three components that I want to describe. The first one is you want to describe yourself as a solution to a problem. One of the things that I've done myself is when explaining what I do in my business, which is I work with youth, is I start out letting people know that I help students overcome the fear of math. Now that generally gets most people's attention, and then after, the next thing that I do is you tell a story to explain what motivates you to do what it is that you're doing. One of the things that I let people know is that I was labeled a slow learner, and I did run away from math. Although I had this gift of doing carpentry, I never grasped the math. I couldn't get the math portion of that together, basically because I was told that it was hard, and I ran from it, not knowing I was already performing math functions when I was planning and building. The last thing that you want to remember about an elevator speech is that you're not there trying to close the sale. You're just trying to get the next meeting so you can sit down and tell about what you're trying to accomplish in detail. One good way to get some more dialogue going, to get that next meeting, is to ask a question. Maybe you ask the person that you're talking to, what do you do? And then there's three things to go along with this I want you to keep in mind. Generally, when we're meeting people and we're giving presentations, there's three questions that's going on in their mind. First of all, who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? That's it for our table talk topic today. That's a tongue twister. And hopefully you can take this and utilize it, and we will share another one with you next week. Thank you. Right now we're going to move on to our introductions of our guests. We have two very powerful guests here today. One of them is my mentor. The other one's someone I just met, acquainted myself with recently. And I'm excited about introducing them to you. Both of them have been in Toastmasters for a little while. Anyway, here we go. The first person is Eileen James. Eileen is a six-year member of Toastmasters of the Aquinas Toastmaster Club 259 in Urbana, Ohio. She's also the VP of Education. She's a past area governor, past area governor of Area 4, Northern Division governor. My goodness, Eileen. And currently District 40's Lieutenant Governor of Marketing. She's also earned the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. She's a retired English teacher. She's currently the president of the nonprofit Cancer Association of Champaign County. She has 3 adult children, 5 grandchildren, and her passions are family, Toastmasters, education, and helping people with cancer. Our next guest is Mr. Charles Ashley. Charley Ashley, once again, I just want to say he's my mentor. I've been working with Charley now for the last 5 years. Charley's retired from the military. If you get a chance to meet Charley, you'll see the military all over him. He's worked in various fields, including Radio Shack as a manager here in Columbus, Ohio. Charley's pretty modest. Charley's got a pretty extensive background in computer information systems. He joined Toastmasters in 1974 as one of the few Toastmasters in Ohio that has held a district office on both sides of the Atlantic. By the way, this man is very well traveled. If you want to find Charley, you're probably going to have to use your cell phone. I wouldn't go to his house because he's not going to be there. His last club was Europe, Stuttgart Toastmasters, and he was the 1982 Continental Council's Area Governor of the Year. Currently, he's the club president for Central Ohio Toastmasters, and the club officer and club officers in many other clubs. And before we let these two get started, I just want to say once again, Charley has been a great mentor to me, and he's a great mentor to many other people. I don't know how he finds the time. So we're going to get right into our topic today. And the topic is exotic animals. What should we do? I'm sure unless you were hiding under a rock last week, we all heard about what happened with the animals that tragically had to be put down. And we've decided to attack this topic today, just kind of see what everybody's thinking about it, and see if we can have some interesting dialogue. So the question that we want to ask, starting out, is how strict, because the governor's talking about instituting some new laws to help control this type of activity, how strict do you feel that the new law should be? And some of the questions that two things that go along with that: should there be a complete ban? Should it be a partial ban on having animals, or should we just let things stay the same? Well, Charley and Eileen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
This is our second program. We're excited to have you here. Last week it seemed like Julie and I kind of hogged the mic, so this week we'll get a chance to share.
Oh, thank you.
So if you would like to go ahead and get started, we'll just jump right in and try to have some fun with this.
Well, that was a tragic event last week. It caught our attention, and I think certainly we need to consider the ramifications of having exotic animals owned by private citizens.
Right, Eileen. I was reading the newspaper, and one of the things that became of interest to me is, as the governor had signed a new proclamation or a new executive order, I'm not exactly sure which is the correct way to call that. The interesting thing about that is the fact that it did not impose any restrictions on the safety of the animals themselves or the safeguarding of the animals. One of my concerns in any type of law that we have, it seems like those things being proposed is sort of like closing the door after the horse has left the barn. They're talking about having animals be tagged with GPS. They're talking about a bond, a $250,000 bond, but that doesn't do anything about keeping the animals in a confined area, or does not say anything about the safeguards necessary for the public. My concern right now is the fact that I am not sure if the regular public who would like to own exotic animals know all of the requirements necessary for the safety of themselves and for the safety of the community. Eileen, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that there are already some rules in place. It seems that every few weeks we have stories on the news about people who have been accused of mistreating their farm animals and other animals, their dogs, their pets, and so forth. And it seems to me we may already be covering that subject of how the animal itself is treated. I don't know what those rules are, but I think there ought to be some kind of regulation about how often a veterinarian checks in with those animals. And of course, we want to be sure the humans are safe as well.
I understand. What do we do about those people who already own exotic animals, and you're asking them to post a $250,000 bond?
That's a lot of money, and I would suspect that most people don't have that much money for a bond. Some people may. Exotic animals are very expensive. I would think they'd be pretty expensive to keep. Just feeding them alone would be a lot of money. But a $250,000 bond, that's a significant amount of money.
Absolutely. The question that I also have for you, Eileen, is our sheriff has been, from an international perspective, criticized because they were not able to tranquilize all the animals. Do you think the sheriff's department should in fact be equipped with tranquilizer guns for anyone who has exotic animals in their district?
I think that's a big responsibility, and I'm not sure we should require the sheriff to take that responsibility. Perhaps if a veterinarian were involved in the care of the animals, he would be, or she would be, more likely to have the equipment necessary to put down an animal with a tranquilizer gun. My understanding is that the size of the medication used and that sort of thing has to be tailored carefully to the animal itself, to its weight, the type of animal, what it would respond to. That's a lot for a sheriff to take on. He's got a lot of other things to do too.
So perhaps as a part of the new regulations coming up, there should be, a provision, for example, to require that the owners have safety equipment, such as the tranquilizer gun and SOP for procedures for the escape of the animal, who in fact would be using the tranquilizer gun, and other safety features. That's quite a lot to ask for the normal, everyday person.
Well, we're talking about people who want to own exotic animals, and it seems to me that's not an ordinary person, not even normal ordinary person. But if someone wants to take on the responsibility of owning an exotic animal, perhaps he should be required to go the next step and be prepared to do what it takes to keep the public safe as well.
Well, that goes into the question of dollars. If we have an enhanced law, who is in fact going to be reviewing the regulations, or reviewing the safety procedures for the people? Who is in fact going to go out and to inspect them? That is additional cost. It seems like right now, in order for us to be effective in a new regulation, we're just going to have to build I hate to say this, a new government department.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think there are that many people who own exotic animals. I could be wrong. There could be lots of people out there. But we do have procedures in place for caring for other animals. We have, the Sheriff's Department does respond to calls about mistreatment of domesticated animals. I would think it wouldn't be too much to ask if they take on the responsibility of checking on exotic animals as well.
Now, wait a minute. You're asking our sheriff to be a mini veterinarian?
No. But perhaps working with the veterinarian in the area. There has to be a veterinarian of record, it seems to me. Seems like that would be a reasonable thing to ask. If you own an exotic animal, wouldn't you want to have a good relationship with a local veterinarian? Wouldn't you want to know that there was someone there who could help you out if that animal became ill? Wouldn't you? Or injured?
Well, yes, we'll go on.
Okay. So then the veterinarian is working with the owner and keeping records. I would think perhaps the sheriff could be brought in when there's a problem.
Okay, let me ask you this question. How many veterinarians do you know that is an expert on how to maintain the health of a lion?
None. Except at the zoo. So
Okay.
There are people who are trained to do that. And perhaps that would be a consideration for that owner of exotic animals.
Well, with what I've just said, the fact you have to have an expert veterinarian who is well qualified in lions, giraffes, zebras, and all this, aren't we kind of leaning toward the idea that there should be a complete ban on exotic animals except for zoos and comparable agencies?
I think that's a reasonable assumption. I think you're right on track. Maybe we should do that.
This is supposed to be an argument here.
You mean you're not allowed to convince me?
Oh, yeah, this is too soon here.
I'm not sure what the answers are. I think it's a complex question. I think there are people who do have a desire to work with animals and for some reason are not working with a zoo. That confuses me. It puzzles me as to why one would want to do that. On the other hand, it's not a question we can answer completely in 20 minutes. What do you think, Charlie?
That is entirely true. Now, the question that we have is, The Sheriff's Department tried to tranquilize a lion, as I recall the article. They tried very, and from what I understand, the lion basically kind of looked at him and got a little bit aggravated and decided to go, perhaps I should rephrase this, but go eat the people who tried tranquilizing it, and they had to put it down.
As in, hello, lunch?
Now, that goes to the other issue of how much training should we have for the Sheriff's Department or whoever else is going to be using the equipment to perhaps corral and to control these animals.
Whatever is needed.
Thank you ever so much.
You're very welcome.
Oh, okay. The question I have is, what do you think about this issue of putting a GPS in exotic animals?
Actually, I think that's a brilliant idea. There was a monkey, the other day there was a monkey that got loose, and it was thought to be diseased in some way, but they hadn't been able to capture it yet. I think a GPS chip would be a good way of tracking an animal that did get loose. Why not use today's technology?
Kind of gives me a thought. Maybe my grandkids need a GPS for me to look. They're very, very rambunctious. The thought did occur to me. We are beginning to be on the cutover time. May I return control here to one of our two moderators.
Miss Julia.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, our guest. It's great to have you here and such good discussion this morning. I now have a segment of the program that's called Did You Know? In 1845, the U.S. Naval Academy opened its doors, but only to male students. Women were admitted in 1976. In 1890, Congress sets aside 1,500 square miles of land for what would become Yosemite National Park. And last, in 1975, Saturday Night Live, NBC's live comedy show, premiered, and the first guest host was George Carlin. T. Wayne, you have a quote for us?
I'd like to say, first of all, thank you to our guests for coming out today, our fellow Toastmasters. This is going to be, I think it's going to be real fun for us to be able to bring people out and have them get a chance to strut their stuff. And my quote goes like this today. I know it's going to be a long week, or not a long week. It could be a long week if you looked at the rain outside today. But I know tomorrow's supposed to be probably the warmest day of the week, from what I heard.
Correct.
So I just want to encourage everyone. I want to say this: when life knocks you down, you want to try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
Thank you for that. Thank you, listeners, again for joining in with us this week for the Table Talk and the community information regarding Toastmasters. It's a great organization. And if you can find a club in your area, I suggest strongly that you go join. It will be very beneficial to you. You have been listening to WCRX-LP Columbus, Ohio, 102.1 FM, the broadcast radio service of Bexley Public Radio Foundation. And remember to visit us on our website at www.WCRXLP.com. This is Julia Bland, and we'll see you next week.